Welcome to another segment of my mathematics videos as we continue to look at sequences and series. This time we are going to focus on concepts that come in paper 1 of the ECZ exam. So we are looking at arithmetic progressions, which we also abbreviate as AP. So I'll be using the word AP more often in my discussion. So what exactly is an arithmetic progression? Well, an arithmetic progression is simply a sequence of numbers which increase by a constant term. So they are going to be increasing by a constant term. Now, when I say they are going to be increasing by a constant term, they could either be decreasing, the increase can either be positive or negative. That is what we mean. So the amount by which that, the amount by which they increase. So I can simply say that, the amount by which they are going to increase, the amount is called the common. So that is what we call as being the common difference. So we call it as being the common difference, which we are going to be abbreviating as D, and the starting number. The starting number is called the first term. That is what we mean. So that is what you need to remember. Look at the sequence that I have there. Maybe I've got 1, 4, 7, 10. That's what I'm having there. If you notice there, you can see that from this to the next number, it is increasing by 3. There it is increasing by 3, and there it is increasing by 3. So the amount by which it increases, that is what we call as being our common difference. So our common difference is equal to 3. Then the starting number in this sequence, which one is starting? That is simply 1. So we call it as being the first term. And normally the first term is abbreviated by A. So A is equal to 1. That is what we mean. Look at another sequence that I have: 15, -1, -7, and -3. You can see by the amount by which this one again is actually going to be increasing. Yeah, so it is decreasing, of course, because it's now negative. So by how much is it going to be increasing? If you notice, it's like 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. It is actually increasing by 4. There it is actually increasing by 4. So that is what you need to remember. That is also increasing by 4. So that is what you need to remember. So the amount by which it increases, that's the common difference, which is 4. And therefore the first term there is simply a -15. Now let's establish a rule that we can use when it comes to solving these ones. We do not want to waste a lot of time. So if you have the term, the sequence, you have a sequence of numbers, let's say T1, term 1, the second term, the third term, and the fourth term, and so on and so forth. If you want to get the common difference, you simply need to find the difference between two consecutive terms. No wonder it's called the common difference. So you can get T2 minus T1. Now, of course, if you do it between two consecutive terms, you are going to find, even if you get T3 minus T2, as long as the terms are following each other, that's what I mean when I say consecutively, the value is always going to be constant. You can get your common difference. For example, in the sequence that I had there, we had 1, 4, 7, and 10. So therefore, the common difference you can get, this is more like the first term, that's the second term, so it will be 4 minus 1, which will give me a 3. It's the same, even if you say 7 minus 4, it will still give you a 3 there. So that is what you need to remember. What about in the other one that I gave you, -15, -11, -7, -3? Yes, it was possible for you to get the common difference. Remember, what we mean is that this one is the first term, this one is the second term, the third term. Don't say, no, because this one is bigger, you start with that one. No, that would actually be wrong. So just follow them the way they are. So it will be -11 minus. Remember, it is T2 minus T1. So what is T2? Negative 11 minus T1, which is negative 15. So it will be negative 11. Negative and negative is positive. So negative 11 plus 15, that will give you a 4. And that's the common difference that we found. So basically, you can actually go about that, finding the common difference. Now, how can you know the next term? Imagine, how can you know the next term? If you know what your T1 is, you know what your T2 is, your T3, how can you know what the next term is? Well, in an arithmetic progression, if you know the first term and you know the common difference, to get the next term, you just keep on adding the common difference. To get the next term, you just keep on adding the common difference. So to get the next term, you just keep on adding the common difference. For example, here, my common difference was 3. So 4, it's 1 plus 3. Here, it will give me a 4. Again, there, it will be plus 3. 4 plus 3 is 7. Again, 7 plus 3 will give you a 10, and so on and so forth. So that's the way you can do it. Now, let's come up with a more general expression for that. Let's just try to come up with a more general expression for that so that we are able to see. So now, if you want to find, for example, let me just highlight a few concepts. This is 1, 2, 4, 7, and 10. Let me just try to highlight that. This is T1, T2, T3, and T4, and so on and so forth. That's what we mean. So this one is the first term. That's what we mean. When n is equal to 1, here this is the second term, so n is equal to 2. This is when n is equal to 3, and this is when n is equal to 4. So which one is occupying the first position? Which term? It is 1. So meaning that would be the Tn. So we'll be using the term in the first position is actually 1. What about the term in the second position? It is actually 4. The term in the third position, it is actually 7. The term in the fourth position, it is actually 10. So you'll be able to see that as we move on. So the general form that I can simply give you, so if you want, you can simply say, formula that you need to know, formula for the nth term. So the formula for the nth term, which we write as T and small n, of an AP arithmetic progression, is actually given by, so we are going to say Tn is equal to A plus n minus 1 multiplied by the common difference. So this is what you need to remember. So that's the formula for the nth term of an arithmetic progression that we are going to find. Remember, A there is representing the first term in the sequence that you have, and a D is representing what we are calling as being the common difference, and our N is representing position of a term. Position of a term, is it the first, the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth, so on and so forth. So the position of the term. And Tn is the term in the nth position. So the term in the nth position, that's what we mean. So for example, 1, 4, 7, 10, and so on and so forth. If I look at 7, it is occupying the third position. So what's the position of that one? It is 1, 2, 3. So it's n is equal to 3. That is the third position. So what is the term in the third position? That is Tn. It is actually 7. That's what we mean when we apply that formula. So very important formula. Well, another formula that we are going to be using is when you want to know the sum. So when you want to know sum of an arithmetic progression. So if you want to know the sum of an arithmetic progression, we apply the formula Sn is equal to, that sum of n terms, which we don't know, be n over 2, then open 2 multiplied by the first term plus n minus 1 multiplied by the common difference. So that's the formula that we use when you want to find the sum of n terms. What do I mean? For example, when we had this sequence that we had, there are only 1, 2, 3, 4 terms. So you can find the sum by adding all of them. So now we can just apply that formula in order for us to do that. So that is what we can simply talk about. So it's very simple. It is actually not complicated. All right. Okay. Let me show you some few examples that we can deal with. Let me show you. So let me give you a sequence. Let me just try to look at a quick example there. Imagine that you have got a sequence, an AP with a sequence 15, 9, and 3, and so on and so forth. And I simply tell you to say find, A, the common difference. So I tell you find the common difference. Then B, I tell you, find the term in, okay, or I just say the nth, let's just say the nth term, because you do not know what that nth term. Then C, I tell you to say, find the 30th. Tell you to say find the 30th term. So how can you go about that? Well, I've already given you the sequence that you are able to see from there. So what can we actually do when it comes to that? Well, it's very simple. The first one tells us to find the common difference. So they have given us this sequence there. So the common difference is always T2 minus T1. So in my case, it will be my T2 is 9 minus 15. So what is 9 minus 15? That will give me a negative 6. That's my common difference. Then B, it says the nth term. So we don't know. When they tell you the nth term, you don't know what your n is. So you're not going to replace on the value of n. But do you know the first term? Yes, you know it is 5. And do you know the common difference? Yes, it is negative 6. So find Tn. Yeah, write Tn. Find Tn when they want you to find the nth term, because you don't know what your n is. So what you do, you simply say Tn is equal to the first term plus n minus 1 multiplied by the common difference. Remember, we don't know what our n is. We can replace the first term, which is 15 there, plus you don't know your n, so no need of replacing when you're finding the nth term, minus 1 multiplied by the common difference, which is a negative 6. So it is going to be 15. Remember, negative 6 times n, that is going to give me negative 6n. So let me just write it nicely, negative 6n. Negative 6 times negative 1 will give me a positive 6 there. So what do you need to do? Well, positive, when it multiplies, it will be just minus 6n. Positives times that will be a positive 6. Then we can simply, arrange the like terms. So it is going to be 15 plus 6. That will be 15 plus 6 minus 6n. 15 plus 6, that will give me 21 minus 6n. So that's the formula for the nth term. So you don't need to replace on n. Leave the n, but replace the first term and replace the common difference if you want to find the nth term. All right, so now the question now says the 30th term. In fact, I should have said and hence the 30th term. Hence means use what we have now found to find the 30th term. So that is what it simply means. So to find C, I'll use what I've actually discovered there, which is that one there. So since I know this is the general formula, it is 21 minus 6n. Since they want me to find the 30th term, meaning when n is equal to 30. So you replace T30 is equal to 21 minus 6 multiply by 30. So this will be 21 minus 6 times that will give us 180. Well, when you subtract that, 21 minus 180, you are going to have negative 159. So meaning that is the term in the 30th position. So that is what they wanted you to do there. So it's not complicated. It is just very simple. That is what you need to remember. Now, another concept that they are going to be asking you in the exam they are going to be telling you to find what we simply call as being arithmetic. So there's also what we call as being arithmetic mean, which we commonly abbreviate as AM. So now the arithmetic mean of two numbers. For example, if you have got the numbers, maybe let me say you have the numbers, A, B, and C, and I tell you to say find the arithmetic mean of A and C. So imagine B is the middle number. So the arithmetic mean of A and C, you add A plus C, then you divide by 2. It's me telling you to say find the arithmetic mean. Let's say I tell you find the arithmetic mean of 2 and 4. I mean the number between 2 and 4. That's what arithmetic mean basically means there. So it's like the arithmetic mean, you simply add your 2 plus your 4, you divide by 2. What is 2 plus 4? It is 6 divided by 2, which will give you 3. And it's true, the number between 2 and 4 is simply 3. And that is what we mean when we say arithmetic mean. There's nothing complicated. So add the two numbers, divide by 2. That will give you the arithmetic mean. All right. Thank you so much for watching. Watch out for some more practice video as I post them.